Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and today, once again, we are taking a little sneak peek, you could consider it a deep dive, into Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, last days of the Kickstarter from N World. Yes, and of course, I am doing this as a full disclosure, I am one of the, I don't know, maybe 30 individuals that help produce this 1,500, plus page document, 3 books plus. Pretty interesting. So, here on the last days of the Kickstarter, I thought we'd take a look at yet another part of the game in the game world. And so we're going to take a look at spells and changes to the spells and what you expect to receive from Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. All right. Now, full disclosure, you'll hear me use terms like O5E and A5E. O5E is original 5th edition, and A5E is advanced 5th edition. So it's just shorthand. All right, so here we have the beginning of our spells, and one of the full disclosure again, um, all everything from 5th edition has been rewritten from the ground up. So a lot of the spells, whether it might be variations in duration, the the VSM components, damage output, and whatnot has been altered, or at least gone over. And I was not part of this design group. But the one of the major things that has happened when it comes to spells is that there are new categories of spells. So for anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons for any amount of time, you'll recognize like the 8 major spell groups, whether it's like illusion, enchantment, necromancy, evocation, etc. But also there are new tags, new categories of spells, whether it's pyromantic or thermal spells. They may be mind control. It might be battlefield spells, essence, emotion, and that sort of thing. And in it's a way to categorize the spells, like whether they're elemental and whatnot. Especially once the digital assets become available, if they will. Yeah, they will. You'll be able to maybe write down for your NPCs, or there's some monsters or powerful entities that might have power over, let's say, all earth spells, and then very easily you can search for those spells and have them categorized all together. Something else here that I'm hopefully I can highlight this without it being too bizarre is the idea of rare spells. So not only do we have all of our spell lists, but we also have rare versions of those spells listed within the spells themselves. And in this way, it's a not only is the rare spell, first of all, during character creation, you cannot pick the rare spell. So rare spells are designed to basically be found while you're adventuring, and they make great gifts, boons, magical feats for magical characters that otherwise would not have access to it. And it's also a prompt for narrators, the dungeon master, the narrator, to say, "Hey, here's a great reward in world for maybe a wizard to study under a mentor, or find an ancient scroll, or um, achieve a certain goal and come back home, and all the students around have given this individual a gift, or maybe they learned the spell from a dragon or something like that, so on and so forth." And so these are like your named spells, ancient spells, and there are variations off of the spell that's available. Also, um, let's see, there are, of course, we have the usual 8 schools. We have casting spells, and other spell schools and ranges and things. And one thing is that maybe in your game world, you don't want to have the traditional 8 schools of magic, in which case you can use other forms to uh, divide up or categorize the spells as they are. Now, let me see. Let me go into. Let's see if there's anyone in the chat. Hey, Cam. Hey, what's up? Hey, it's all there. Uh, Nicholas Paul. Hey, thanks for stopping by. There are a number of individuals who found this channel simply because they're interested in Level Up 5e, and so I'm glad you could stop by and be part of the show because the best part is going live. Hey, Cam, what's going on? Cam's, those of us that live in the states are just like, dude, what are you doing? Like broadcasting at 5:30 in the morning, but whatever. Um, anyway, please don't hesitate to, you know, ask any questions or something while I go through these. Like if you have a favorite spell and you're like, well, what how did you change up that spell? Just ask me and I'll go through it. So let's start out with here's a spell that we're going to start out with. Hopefully my head, my my big old head won't get in the way. The spell aid. Okay. So it's a second level abjuration, divine, and enchantment spell. So we know what abjuration is the school of magic about like defensive magic, warding magic, and protection magics. But there's also divine magic, and it's also listed under in enhancement, not enchantment, enhancement magics. So maybe there's an individual that is uh, or you want to create a character whose only spells that they have available to them are enhancement. Like maybe you're like an Olympian type of character and you enhance your body or something. And this might be the type of spell that you have. And also, they're using the categories. You, for example, what's a great like a half caster or quarter caster, like a an arcane knight. And maybe you in your mind, you're like, you know what? Evocation spells are fine, but that doesn't really fit into to my design idea. Now you can have another category if you discuss this with your narrator and go, you know what? I want to make an arcane knight, but I only want enhancement where my body is just, more powerful. And then maybe the narrator's like, okay, if that's the only ones you can pick, sure. Well, anyway, under the aid spell, the cleric and the herald get to pick this spell. Casting time 1 action, range is medium, which is 60 feet. Target up to 3 creatures. Also, the anyway, we'll get back into something. Anyways, 8 hours, and it says you draw upon divine power, imbuing the targets with fortitude until the spell ends. Each target increases its hit point maximum and current hit points by 5. And of course, you can cast this at higher levels. But down below, we have a rare version of this spell. And the rare version of this spell says it's called Stekar's Fortifying Aid. Once per round, each target gains an expertise die on its first saving throw made to resist or end a condition. For those who don't know, the expertise dice are spread throughout the game. The expertise die is a D4. It's a die, and if you have stacked expertise dice, they move up D4, D6, D8, and so this maybe this character learns Stekar's Fortifying Aid as during gameplay as this rare version of the spell. So let me get into the chat, see if you guys have any questions. Yes, you do. Ooh, magic missile. Okay, okay. So Cam asks, I like your wording there. How do ye old magic missile fare in the level up, sir? I presume that's how you said it. Um, yeah, Nicholas Paul says mentions that I think level up is a great way to give 5e a fresh start. It wasn't designed in a vacuum, just to give you an idea, because I'm going to start. Allie. So anyway, just to give you guys a, a background as I go down to Magic Missile here. Um, this wasn't created in a vacuum. About 30 individuals of us were given assignments to, from the ground up, rewrite fifth edition. And it was done through surveys. So if I don't know if you guys are familiar with N World, but N World's been around for 20 years now, plus. And th- through the people that were part of it, surveys were sent out. Hey, what's the thing that bothers you, or what's the thing that is like kind of strange or different? Let me move this because I know my head's going to be in the way. All right, so we have here magic missile, and you can target up to 3 creatures. It's a spell for sorcerer and wizard, and not much has changed under magic missile. Sorry. All right. Let me give you guys a greater. So magic missile starts here. I know it's like right above my head here. Magic missile right here. But using the 2-page spread, I guess maybe I should not use this 2-page spread here. Let's take the let's do it like this. Boop boop. That's better. It's going to take me a little longer to go through it. Sorry. Long strider. There we go. Here is a rare version of Magic Missile. So even the classic Magic Missile spell has been modified. And when I say modified, Magic Missile still exists as it is, as you've always played it, basically. And of course, you can cast it at higher levels. But the rare version of this is Krevin's Ruinous Magic Missile. Creatures damaged by the spell make a strength saving throw or are rattled until the end of your turn. Rattle is a new condition. And so maybe a player who you design a character and listen, we know people like to spam certain things. Like for example, and I have another video about the warlock, like the Eldritch Blast no longer exists as a spell any longer. Sorry, but there are certain things where player characters we know that hey, they do this thing all the time. Maybe this is a way to reward them for doing the thing that they've always wanted to do anyway. But what? Nicholas is thank all 30 of you for creative minds. Now I was brought in. I specifically helped consult and write a bit for the exploration pillar, which is a full thing. Nick's like, I like how the spell looks. Yeah, and the the exploration pillar portion of the I'm going to go back up. So while I talk to you guys, because okay, here's since I'm moving, I was going to go to lightning bolt and light the light spell because they're pretty common things too. Uh, but anyway, the idea was to get rid of the cheese in the game. So, and then make things a little bit more dynamic. So if you're just playing a standard wizard, it may sometimes feel like, oh, I'm playing a wizard or sorcerer. I'm just like everybody else. I've got the same spells. And the idea behind this is, well, maybe you don't. Okay, so here we have mage armor, very common spell. You need to protect yourself. You're a wizard. But even with the mage armor spell, there's a rare person. Guess what? Here's Steckarts. Steckarts happens to be here yet again. Hey, Steckart. Steckart's enhanced mage armor says it's a rare spell. It says the target's AC becomes 10 plus your proficiency bonus plus his dexterity modifier, as opposed to the standard, its AC becomes 13 plus his dexterity modifier. Now, the reasoning behind changing it to from a static AC to win with dex modifiers so that you get some variation in there, especially because people like to make wizards with a high dex. I'm assuming so that they have great manual dexterity, which we know that's not true. Is defend yourself, but also with the rare version by adding in if you learn a rare version and by adding in your proficiency bonus, it means it scales with the character as opposed to the standard spell. So little things like that as they went through each of the spells happened. I can't imagine the daunting energy it took to do it, but whatever. All right, here we go. Lightning bolt. Let's see. I don't now, mind you, there might be some spells that have changed. I don't know all of them. I don't have the whole thing memorized. But here we go. The rare version of Gabal's conductive lightning bolt. This is part and end of the lightning bolt spell, by the way, because it's I'm using a single page spread. Metallic creatures and creatures wearing metal armor make their saving throw with disadvantage. What a great I mean, makes sense, right? But what a great little advantage, especially if you've got like a storm cleric or something like that. Pretty awesome. Levitate. Let's see, has the light spell been altered? Not all of them have a rare version, and not all of them have been altered. So okay, so the light spell has not been altered, or not altered much. Let's go back into the chat here. Do, 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 do. And by the way, thanks for stopping by, Alley Oops. All right, so Allie says, 77 says, short, sweet, and right to the point, unlike some spells with an essay for simple information. That wording has been altered as well for some of the spells to try to get them. Fifth edition has a certain verbal terminology to prevent side cases from becoming the norm. And there's a little bit of literary um, acrobatics to get to that point sometimes. And listen, I understand why they did it because s- players we can be exploitive, right? We always try to look for the exploit, and the wording sometimes can be very clunky because they have to add another paragraph to go, oh, by the way, you can't use this as a you can't use this weapon as a bonus action. You can't use this as a reaction, and they have to keep naming all these things. And oh, rope trick, okay. But now that it's been many years, we do have shorthand, so a lot of spells were done that way. And fireball, okay. Nix is like, I will buy the books when they come out on Drive Through RPG. Hey, listen, you do you. They're expensive. The Kickstarter, you know, granted, it's a deep cut to go into that kind of money, even with the PDFs, because there's so much material. But so I get it. But listen, hey, if you can, so let's go to rope trick and then fireball. I know we're gonna kind of go jump around a little bit. So, but that's how it was asked. So let's go on down. Let's let me flip up the page view here. Mm, mm, mm. All right, bam. There are new spells, by the way, just to let you guys know. Which one? Where are they? And I honestly cannot tell you that. This is me going by the seat of my pants. I said, Let's hey, let's do something different." So I thought I'd do something by the seat of my pants. So that's why I'm doing this. It's not because like I'm any expert or something like that. All right, rope trick. Rope trick has not. Well, it might have been modified slightly, but no, there is no rare version of rope trick. Wow. My gosh. My gosh. Sacred flame though. There's a okay. Let's get rid of this. Mm-mm. Sacred flame has been altered. Okay. Let's see. Sacred flame is an evocation spell. Let's see. Okay. It's an evocation, a spell. It also is an attack spell, divine spell, and radiant spell categorization. And again, remember I told you before, those categories are not schools, they are just categories to organize them. So when the digital elements come about, you can search for spells like, oh, I want to find all the divine spells or all the radiant spells or all the attack spells, and that'll be available to you. But there is a rare version, and it's called Purifying Flame. When a target damage, oh, I'm sorry, it's called Kamenov's Purifying Flame. When a target damaged by the spell is undead, has the evil trait, or is vulnerable to radiant damage, it is rattled for the next minute. Rattle is a new condition. At the end of each of its turns, the target may make a wisdom saving throw to end the effect on itself. Um, so that is Sacred Flame. So again, maybe a cleric, because it's from the cleric class. Maybe a cleric is through divine blessing or boon. Maybe they get this rare version because of their devotion to the religion or something of that nature. Maybe that's the case. Who knows? All right, fireball. Mm, 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 mm. Insect plague. Spells retrain. Boop, 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 boop. Come on. There we go. Sorry. There we got the fireball. Mm, 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 mm. Let me get back in the chat here because I know you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Alley says it would be funny if the material component for rope trick was to play a wind instrument. Yeah, yeah. You got to play the wind instrument and make the rope like move like a snake up into the air. I love it. Thanks there, Nick. Um, when the Kickstarter ends, there's going to be the name of the channel is RPG with DBJ. So what I thought would be kind of cute would be to have I'm going to pick a day, and that day is going to be RPG with A5E Advanced Fifth Edition. So once a week we're going to go through because there's a ton of material, and when the PDFs are going to come out when the Kickstarter ends. Basically, like once the Kickstarter ends, Morris and the crew over at N World are going to put out all the PDFs. Well, that means there's going to be a lot of material for people to go through. So I'm going to make myself available to learn along with side you guys. So although I have an insider's look, I don't know everything. So we're going to do all that. Yep. Um, all right. Oh, thanks, Nick. By the way, um, mm, mm, mm. Cameron's like, warning, kind of off topic. Not really, not necessarily, because I like this stuff. Says, warning, kind of off topic. If a giant walked through the same space as a rope trick opening, what would happen? You know what? I don't know. Or what if a giant cast rope trick is the opening to for a rope trick bigger for a giant? Or maybe only a giant can, like, let's say a massive giant can only reach their hand or their foot through, and then you cut the spell off and it cuts off their hand or their foot or something. I don't know. I like thinking it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Snow Edwin says, "Damn, Fireball kind of got nerfed, huh?" Let me challenge you on that. Let me let's go. Let's dig into this just a little bit here, okay? And I'll give you a behind the scenes of why it is. So first of all, Fireball, third level spell. It's an evocation. It's an arcane spell, and it's a fire spell. We know all this. Whatever. Here's the thing that's been pointed out. Right, 66 fire damage. The base Fireball spell does 66 damage. You can cast it at higher levels. But the rare versions down here, Katarina's improved Fireball does 8 die 6 damage. So is the Fireball you're used to? See, I'm an old grognard. The old Fireball always did 66. Fifth editions does 8d6. Both exist simultaneously, right? So so at character creation, no, you don't get the better one. But why not adventure and get the better one? Or maybe you're at your game table, you're like, we're still used to the old one. You get the rare version automatically if your narrator says so, right? But there's also another rare version down here. I know my head might be popping into it a little bit. Um, Rav Jahani's Shadow Fireball. This spell's silent black flames deal necrotic damage and don't damage objects or leave marks on bodies. Any non magical flames in the area are extinguished. This spell has no vocalized component. And again, it's also a prompt for world creators and narrators to go, wait a minute, if those are rare versions of the spell, maybe I can make up my own. Maybe there's like a thunder or like a poison ball or so. I don't know. You can come up with your own things. But also s- during the surveys, sometimes things were split down the middle. And so what the designers did was basically split it down the middle. Some feel Fireball is too powerful and shouldn't be because of the numerical dynamics of how the game is set. Because because there's uh, that some prefer the 8d6, some prefers the 66. So he split down the middle and just said most, well, both of them exist. So in terms of designing things, it's not about like nerfing stuff. I know what you're saying there, Snow Edwin, but when it comes to designing a whole game holistically, something's got to go, right? And I know we're used to it. We love our best things, like action surge has been removed from the fighter because it's been split amongst other things. Why? Because people dip into fighter for multiclassing just to get the action surge, whereas now it is in different places, just like warlock and eldritch blast, right? It's been separated. Now here we go. Peter Coffey mentions the range has dropped on Fireball. It's to support theater of the mind and range increment play. Now, see, here we go. I moved it around. I apologize, guys. So let me go back up to the range here. There we go. And you'll notice the range says long 120 feet. Get back here. It says long 120 feet, and that is if you're playing theater of the mind, you can just you know how long the spell is. You can use words short, medium, long, touch, extreme range, whatever, and that way when you're playing theater of the mind, since you may not have a map or a virtual tabletop or something of that nature, you're able to do that. So yes, that wording is included in there for theater of the mind play. Yes, that's exactly what that is. Yep. Peter Coffey mentions a key principle in the design is to make interesting choices. No brainer choices aren't interesting. Absolutely. That's where the term spamming came from, right? So, and here's another thing too, by having two versions of the fireball spell, right? Now, of course, someone who plays the game goes, "Hey, I like this, but man, they nerfed fireball. Here's here's the impetus to go out and adventure, right? Listen, I don't want this version. I want a better version." So that's what adventuring is. Like, man, Nick's like, "I just subscribed to your channel. I How dare you do that?" No, man, thank you very much. Mm, 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 mm. Alley oops. I don't know if this is all gonna ah um I don't think the whole thing's gonna show up, but I'll try. Uh, Alley 77 says, I've modified a lot of spells in my 5e games. A die 4 for first and second, D6 for third and fourth, D8 for fifth and sixth level, D10 for seventh and eighth, and D12 for ninth on damage and heals. I modified them. I've heard this done before and other things. Anyway, Alley says, I modified them to match the proficiency die bonus. Right. And guess what? It also means things using what you just did also allows you to give away maybe more powerful spells at lower levels, like a fireball, but it only does D4. And then it also means that as characters progress, that thing that they do gets better as it goes along, which I like that idea. I'm surprised. That's a very simple, very simple thing. Very, very simple. Okay, we need to find some other. Nicholas asked to find new spells, right? And let's see. I'm not sure if I can find any, but there are some breakout boxes. Damn. There it goes. Here's the breakout box. And this breakout box is on the same page as the fireball. And it's probably going to say more succinctly than all the stuff that's been coming out of my mouth. Sometimes a once rare spell becomes more widespread than the original. In some game worlds, the principles of Katarina's improved fireball are so well known that this version of the spell can be learned when a character gains a level. In such worlds, Katarina's improved fireball is simply called fireball. The nature of the spells that are rare, common, or unavailable in a specific setting help tell that world's story. So that answers the question about the damn, they nerfed my favorite spell. Well, in your table, maybe it's not. Maybe this Katarina person's been is long dead, and this version of spell's been around forever. Maybe the other spell is being cast by people who never come across it. You know, and it's those kind of things, right? So, um, I just I just like There's Katarina with her fire spells again. Sorry. there's a there's Flaming Sphere. It's got a medium range of 60 feet. It's a conjuration, arcane, and fire spell. And if we come down here, we do have casting at higher levels and Katarina's Chariot Flaming Sphere. Mm-mm-mm. If you are medium or smaller, you can use 5 feet of your movement to enter or exit the sphere. While inside, you can't be harmed by the sphere. You move with it when it moves, and creatures take 1d4 damage when they hit you with a melee attack. That is awesome. It's like a little chariot. You ride inside of it. Medium or small, hey, throw the halfling inside. Yeah, halfling, get inside there. Ooh, there's even a version. Sorry, because I'm learning this at the same time, which is the whole point of doing this peek through. Flesh to stone. Who would have thought that there's a way to improve flesh to stone or have a rare version of that? Casvarini, Casvarinas, Casvarinas punishing flesh to stone. When you permanently petrify a target, you can designate a trigger event within 60 feet of the statue, which causes the petrification to end. An example trigger events include a creature touching the statue, or a specific item or a word or phrase being spoken. Ooh, ooh, you could do some interesting things. You could flesh to stone a monster and then use it as like a trap, like a bestial monster, something like that, and then slam the door and let some enemies run into the same room and create a trigger or something that happens, like a specific word, or maybe someone's been petrified for 1,000 years and they wake up or something like that. Mm-mm-mm. Let's see. Ali says I have casting. I have casting such as a specialist wizard such as an evoker that can cast only evocation spells with higher spell slots. As an abjurer that wants to cast a fireball can only cast it at its base level. Ooh, okay. So you have a differentiation of being able to cast or not cast things at higher levels in your world. Okay. All right. Mm-mm-mm. Snow Edwin says monkey ball. You mean in the fire, the flaming sphere spell, the monkey ball? I think so. You can have some fun with that. Yeah. Nick mentions the point, like, I've been reading over news articles in their website. People should go look after the stream. Listen, go to levelupA5E.com, go to N World, go to the Kickstarter. You're going to find articles and releases and everything on all this stuff. And not this isn't just from me. I'm just doing this on my own, guys, because I'm happy to be part of it. And I'm proud of what other people have done to make this possible and for me to be part of it. But if you want more information, go check out that information. I also have videos on like the fighter. Tomorrow we're going to do the marshal, which is some it, in other game versions it's been known as the battle master. So tomorrow we're going to do the marshal, but I have a video on the fighter modifications. I've got a video on the warlock. There's a video on oh, I didn't do a video on the adept, but the details about the adept have been released as well. There's a whole there's a lot more more things than that. But yeah. Mm, the golden stream. Mm. All right, guys. Let's get into some more spells here. Fog cloud, floating disc spell. Oh, since we're right here, a lot of F spells. Here we go. I don't know if let me know in the chat. The floating disc spell can be cast at higher levels. Is that a thing in 5th edition? I don't believe that's a thing. Anyway, so here we go. We've got the floating disc spells, first level spell. It's a conjuration, arcane, and movement spell. It's got short range, 30 feet, lasts for an hour. Has all the details about the floating disc. Used to be called Tensor's floating disc from us old Grognardians and whatnot. And it has all the details about the spell, how it moves. You can ride the disc, spending your movement Additionally, you can ride the disc, spending your movement on your turn to move the disc up to 30 feet, following the movement rules above. Moving the disc in this way is just as tiring as walking for the same amount of time. All right. But here we have casting at higher levels. And if I swear there is no way to cast floating disc as a higher level. I could be wrong, and please make me look stupid. But when you use a third level or higher spell slot, either the spell's duration increases by 8 hours to 8 hours, or the disc's diameter is 10 feet. It can support up to 2,000 pounds, and it can transverse obstacles up to 10 feet high. When you use a sixth level or higher spell slot, the disc's diameter is 20 feet. It can support up to 16,000 pounds, and it can transverse obstacles up to 20 feet high. So this isn't a rare version of the spell. It is a way to cast a spell at higher levels to make it just a little bit more useful from powerful versions, to give it a differentiation, because very powerful wizard's going to have a floating disc that's more powerful. It just gives, again, more options, something to look forward to, and allows something not to be so feel like it's not useful any longer. The fly spell has been altered. Sorry, can't see it here. Third level transmutation, arcane, and movement spell. It's just one action. Here we come down here. The target gains a flying speed of 60 feet. When the spell ends, the target falls if it is off the ground. Cast at a higher level, target one additional creature for each slot level above the above third. And then we have a rare version. Let's see if I can pronounce it correctly. Sol Solions. I'm going to pronounce it Solions. Solions. I believe is probably the incorrect pronunciation. Solion Swift Fly. The target gains a flying speed of 90 feet. Cool. Faster, rare spell. Maybe that's something that you've built your character around. There's even a Fall Cloud has a rare version of it. So anyway, oh yeah, on uh, Rav Jahani's accompanying Fall Cloud. Until the spell ends, you can use a bonus action to move the area of fog up to 30 feet horizontally and 5 feet vertically. So you can get it to move around, maybe have it follow you around, maybe it moves around corners, maybe it could be used as a trick or something like that. So, absolutely. Movicall says, make True Strike useful. I'm going to look that up because I'm sure that's a problem. That's a huge problem. All right, so let me get back into the chat here for you co hosts. You're part of the show. Mm-mm. Mike's Ghoul says, just getting here. All right, we just says just getting here. We're doing a Level Up 5E Kickstarter this week. Hey, I see there's a rare effect. How does one procure or trigger a rare effect on a given spell? You don't trigger it. It's a boon. You have to find it in game. The idea behind it is you find it in game. Now, of course, in your own world, you don't. You can make any rare version of the spell available. As a matter of fact, there's even a breakout box that we talked about just before you got here about Fireball, that the rare version of Katarina's Fireball, which is the more powerful version, the 8 die versus the 6 die one, is everyone knows it. So finding a rare version of the spell is available, is an in-world way to gift the player that wants to find the thing to get the thing, right? Now, does it exist in your world? Maybe not. So it was like 90 feet. That rare fly variant is whack. Why would you say that? You don't want to go faster? Oh man. But of course, maybe if somebody's like, "Oh, that sounds broken," maybe that rare version is broken for a reason. Yep. Yep. It's to be discovered, gifted, however in world someone feels like it should be there. Like maybe you're a player and you're like, you know what, I really want this rare version of spell, and your game master's like, oh cool, that's a great way. It's like it's anyway, it's a story element, it's a goal to reach for, which so it was like 16,000 pounds because I have to wait until level 11 to ride a floating disc. What? What do you? How much do you weigh? What are you carrying with you?" He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna take my castle with me. Yeah, my pet dragon turtle. Put it up on there. All right, I'm gonna get to True Strike in a minute. Um, mm, mm, mm. Mike says there's no upcasting for Tensor's floating disk in the core book. I thought so. I thought so in the back of my head. I was like, there's no higher level version upcasting for that. Yep. Mm-mm-mm. Oops is like, there's many names for the spell. Yeah, that's a good thing too. I've done that in my own world where it's like you change the name of the spell because people call it differently. Floating disk has many nicknames: mobile vault, magic litter. Yep, for carrying unconscious PCs and so on. Absolutely. The Wizards Recursive Stretcher. Oh man. Mike says, DBJ, I think you nailed it. That's how I would pronounce it. And I've had training in French. It looked French to me. That's why pronounce it that way. Mufa says, I like this idea of variance. I gotta handle Mova call though here. Flesh to Stone sounds like a good Medusa spell. Yeah, yeah. Especially if your character wants to be like that. You could even save a character's life, turn him to stone, leave him there, then come back and get him. Mm-mm-mm. Try to get to what you guys are talking about here. All right. Mm-mm-mm. Let's get a true strike here. Bup, 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 bup. Sorry. Big move. Big move. Silent image. Spider climb. Let's see if they changed it up. Now, I wonder if I'm not sure if some of these spells were actually removed. Tiny hut spell. Come on. True resurrection. True sing. True strike. Here we go. Cantrip. It's a divination, arcane, attack, and enhancement spell. It's got short range of 30 feet. You gain an innate understanding of the defenses of a creature or object in range. You have advantage on your first attack roll made against the target before the end of your next turn. A rare version of it, Kazravina's Greater True Strike. You gain an almost total understanding of a creature or object's defenses and body language. The duration increases to concentration of 1 minute, and you gain advantage to 3 additional attack rolls of your choice that are made before the spell ends. Once per round, you can choose to use that advantage when you make your first attack roll on your turn. So, here's a rare version where the spell still exists, and then there's a rarer version of it, and in that rarer version it lasts for a minute and then you get to use it 3 times. So but listen, it's still a cantrip, right? Yeah, it's a cantrip, so it's only going to be as useful as, I mean, cantrips aren't major, like, world changing things. Let me see. Sorry, I'm moving it just a little bit. Nope, there's no additional information on it. Let's get back into the chat, see what you guys have to say. I know Snow Edwin's got a little hard on it. Move call says, yeah, true strike, waste an action and get advantage, and it's concentration. Yeah, that's better, but still takes your concentration. Exactly, exactly. So I'm sure they probably thought, well, we could take it away, but then there's other PC abilities to give advantage. So it's a strange, like, I wasn't one of the people that worked on it, but it's a strange thing because once you start changing the action economy, then you're like, so, but I could see this being used by, like, well, the ranger is no longer magical. Well, there's the ranger doesn't have magic any longer, but there's a variation where they do, and I could see them going, okay, hunt the deer, concentrate, rare version, I'm going to use my bow. I've got three, I can make 3 attacks. I mean, I can make multiple attacks, and on 3 of those attacks over the next minute, I can boom, 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 pop off some, pop off some things to strike that person. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like Movicall says, there's so many better ways to get advantage than wasting action and concentration, right? Because that action, if you were trying to do damage, but see now, okay, there are some things in the in game where using an action to do something other than make an attack is probably going to be more beneficial, especially when it comes to using the environment and such. So there's a lot more to do than it. Yeah, alley oops is talk about flanking. Yeah, flanking is simpler to grab advantage if you use the flanking in your game. I just throw out true strike. Yep, yep. And like anything, you could just whatever you can do whatever you want. It's your game. It's not like there's a it's not like someone specifically is ooh. All right, here we go. Here's another common one. Vicious mockery, cantrip, enchantment, arcane, attack, and psychic categories. All right. You verbally insult or mock the target so viciously its mind is seared. I've always wondered why it's called vicious mockery because basically it's a psychic attack. Anyway, okay. As long as the target hears you and understanding your words is not required, it takes 1d6. I believe it starts at 1d4. 1d6 psychic damage and has disadvantage on the first attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn. Of course, it increases as you get higher level, but we do have Corin's taunting vicious mockery. Your amazingly effective insults and mockeries also entertain others, even the target's allies. On a failed saving throw, the target has disadvantage on all attack rolls next round, and if it makes an attack, it can only target you. It can take other actions, but if the target takes the attack action or casts a spell that includes a spell attack, that attack must be against you. Persuasion checks you make against the target have disadvantage even after the spell's duration ends. That's a rare version. That's a rare version of that spell. Cool. Rare version of Vampiric Touch and whatnot. Anyway, so we do have rare versions. We do have some upcasting and things like that. And I think this is a great way to learn a little bit more about the magic system. Like I said, some of much of this was modified due to surveys. So there is a cheese factor, right? Where players are like, well, I want to keep that thing because it makes my character concept better. Where on the other hand, it's like, well, just because it makes your character concept better doesn't mean it's better for the game system as a whole. So yeah, Label's Glacier, Gavel's Hardy Wall of Stone. There's rare versions of a ton of things. Not everything, but anyway, let me get back into the chat and then find out if you guys have any other spells, and then we're going to get on out of here. Mofocall says, "Ooh, I love vicious mockery." The rare version of vicious mockery is like that's literally like on the schoolyard, like you're stupid. That's like your mama jokes right there. Could you imagine? Oh man, yeah. Snow is Someone says, "Yo, vicious mockery at D6 now." In this, yes. In this one, this version, in level up, yes, it is. Yeah, alley oops is like, yeah, it says, but if you change the casting time from one action down to one bonus action, it would be more useful. Yeah, you could, because then you could like start like hopping around the battlefield and like start tossing insults and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. Yep, yep. Mike's like, vicious mockery got a bump in the die. I see. Yes, it did. Ooh, ain't that a throwback? Wait a minute. Snow Edwin says, "Wall of Flesh." Oh God, I'm getting System Shock 2 flashbacks. Listen, I I know a bunch of you guys are old gray bearded grognards like I am. If you players and I listen, we can have disagreements on anything, but today's players have no idea about System Shock. System Shock was just like a you just like put your head down and you're just like, oh no. Because System Shock was a thing that happened when certain attacks, damage potentials, and spell effects would affect your character, and you could die. It was like, I'm not even old. I just like System Shock. No, you make me feel bad. Anyway, System Shock was a thing where your character could literally just up and die for no other reason than just being the target of something, or coming out of something. Like if you were turned to stone and then you were unpetrified, there were effects where you were like your soul was ripped out of your body and it comes back. There were effects where you were teleported or something, and it's like, oh, roll on a System Shock table, and you're just like, oh no, rolling your eyes, like, oh no, and it had other debilitating effects and things. Yeah, so depending on what you roll, some of those things could be permanent. Like your character has a heart palpitation, and you just roll your eyes, like, what the. Mm-mm-mm. It's so silly. Mova calls like upcast ninth level vicious mockery. My God. Sticks and stones may beat my resistance, but words and insults can really hurt. Yeah. That's how the gods fight. That's why they can't throw fireballs at each other. Everything's so weird, but I love it. Mm-mm. I gotta say it like this. Michael's like, "Hey, I ain't got no gray beard. Now get off my lawn, you whippersnappers. Oh, you young folks, but you're rolling your dices and your old dragons and French toast. What? Oh no. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, you guys, System Shock Resurrection Survival was a 2E thing. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Some of those resurrect was it like resurrection and reincarnation and some of these other spells, like they weren't automatic. You had to make a System Shock roll. It's like, oh my goodness. Anyway, anyway, guys, I there's give me one more spell, common spell that we didn't go over. We did Fireball, Magic Missile, Floating Disc, Rope Trick, Vicious Mockery. Wow, Mage Armor. I'm surprised I'm remembering all these things because I'm terrible at this kind of stuff. Fog Cloud, even. If you guys can give me one more spell, let's take a look at it. Mind you, I am paging through. I'm sure you noticed this. I'm paging through a, a pre-finalized version document. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt. Okay, we didn't do Lightning Bolt. Swear we do Lightning Bolt. Oops, went a little too fast on that one. Ooh, those were feats. We're going to do feats and prestiges and all that kind of stuff. Wow, that's sorry about that. I know grease spell. Is grease modified anything? Yep, flammable grease. There we go. Yep. There's a grease spell and there's a rare version of flammable grease. Wow. Yep, and Goodberry has been altered a little bit, and then there's a rare version of Goodberry. Mm, mm, because of the third pillar having the exploration part of the game being improved, there some of the spells have certain modifications with that. So yeah, we'll get into it. So we got to do lightning bolts, and there's the light spell. And there's Lightning Bolt. Third level evocation. It's also an affliction, arcane, attack, lightning, nature, and storm spell for their categories. It seems like both lightning and storm are similar, but not necessarily the same categories. Um, I suppose if you were playing a character that was a like an artificer, artificer, maybe lightning might be part of your categories, whereas like a storm cleric or druid would have like lightning bolt plus like winds and rain and things like that. That would be part of that. So saving throw, and let's go down. Let's see if there is a. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back up. Sorry. The damage is arcs out. A bolt of lightning arcs out from you in a direction you choose. 8 die 6 lightning damage. The lightning ignites flammables. Hey, Sophie, I know you're a producer. Come on, sit on your perch. Objects in its path that aren't worn or carried by other creatures, so it ignites them on fire. The spell stopped by an object at least as large as its width. It ends. Ends there unless it deals enough damage to break through. When it does, it continues to the end of its area. Casting higher, and then of course we have Gabal's conductive lightning bolt or Gables. I like Gabal. Anyway, metallic creatures and creatures wearing metal armor make their saving throw with disadvantage. So that's the rare version of it. So constructs, a lot of metal constructs. I suppose maybe a metallic dragon, maybe ish. You could throw in there. What are some other metallic creatures that aren't constructs? I don't know. No, not off the top of my head. A metallic creature that isn't a construct. Okay, so seems I thought. Oh, we did. I think we did. I did. I think we did. Okay, so let me get into some comments here. So Movacall mentions what about armor of Agathis or Agathis? Named the SRD, there are legal things you cannot cross with the SRD. So system reference document and the OGL, the Open Gaming License. So specific named things like Tensor's floating disk legally belongs to Wizards of the Coast. Floating disk spell does is open license by them, right? If you get the point. So certain specifically named things. Come on, I know. Yes, Kitty. Come on. Yeah, I know. Come on, sit on your perch. That's my producer. And she's like, the show needs to end now. Sorry about that, guys. We'll do sleep. We'll do sleep. The sleep spell. Michael mentioned sleep, and Aliops brings up chain lightning. And yes, no, I think we did the lightning bolt spell. I think we went past it. Invisibility is a good one as well. So we got sleep and invisibility. Now, Snow Edwin asks a good question. Wait, do classes get spells based on keywords? No. The keywords are there. Okay, not only will this be searchable through uh, electronically, but there are some magic items and effects that will affect keywords. So the same 8 schools of magic still exist. They still do the whole 9 yards. But there might be, like, say, a ring of, I don't know, surviving the storm. I'm making this up off the top of my head, by the way. It's not a real thing. But if you have a ring of surviving the storm, and it might give you, like, you have advantage on all saving throws against all storm spells, as an example, right? So the tag can meet up against other effects so that anything with that tag is included. And the easy one would be fire spells, right? They're not evocation. Every attack spell that that has energy in it might be considered evocation, but only fire spells are related to fire. Now common sense would tell us, well, if it's got fire in the title and it does fire damage, then it would be fire. So if you have resistance to fire, it's the same thing, right? Yes, I agree with that, but there might be things that are not as readily categorizable in our heads, so they've already categorized them for us. Like in this, like I'm looking at locate object, and it's a divination, arcane, knowledge, and utility spell. So maybe a knowledge spell might be a category that, like, you get a magic item that enhances all knowledge spells or something like that. Yep. For the lightning bolt spell, yeah. It's a great thing for dealing with armored knights and horses with barding. Hells yes. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Dead man brings up the inevitables. Ooh, yeah. You know, if you play a plain side note, if this is not spell wise, but as a racial feature, not as a racial decision, you can play a character that is plain touched. You could pick a heritage that's plain touched. Now, plain touched accounts for like tieflings and Asimar, but it is also quite broad. So if you want to play a character that comes from like Mechanus or something like that, you can go ahead and do that. I know inevitables don't come from, but that's when you brought that up, it made me think of Planescape and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Snow's like, oh, okay, I just got confused because of the artificer versus cleric example. That was me making an example. Don't listen. I talk out the side of my neck, dude. So don't take me for that. The like, okay, right now, what's on the page here? Hopefully, you guys can see. Let me take this down. Uh, like locate animals or plants and locate object are both divination spells, but they're also both knowledge spells. But there might be a knowledge spell that's not divination. If you know what I mean? It's strange to say that, but and then like locate animals or plants is also a plant spell, but locate object isn't. You know what I mean? All right, so okay, so the question was, you brought up invisibility and sleep. So let's go up to invisibility and I'm sure we'll go past some things here. Knock spell. There's invisibility. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, it does have a upcasting. I'm not upcasting, a rare version of it. So we do have invisibility. It's illusion, arcane obscurement, and a shadow spell as a category. Concentration for 1 hour. You wreath the creature in an illusory veil, making it invisible. Mm-mm. Spell ends for a target that attacks or casts a spell. Cast at a higher level. Target one additional creature for each slot level above the second. And the rare version, until let me move this out of it won't let me. There we go. Until the spell ends, any objects that the target picks up becomes invisible even after it is dropped. Hmm. That's a hmm. I can see some cheese getting around that one. I could see somebody doing something like that because you could get around the fact of maybe there's just an object you want invisible, not necessarily yourself. We're going down to sleep. Boop, 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 boop. Pass without trace hasn't been changed. There's a ton of this stuff. So, like I said, all of these we're going through polymorph. I know power word kill is a good one. Produce flame. I'm having a feeling this Katarina person was really in the fire. Come on, scorching ray. Boop, 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 boop. Sorry, guys. Shield spell. Nope. Shield spell has not been changed. Or I mean, it has not been. It doesn't have a rare version of it. All right. So we do have sleep spell. We do have the sleep spell here, and magical slumber. 4d10 hit points worth of creatures. I think that sounds about right. Duration of 1 minute. Cast at higher levels. I don't see any difference. Nope. Second level or higher spell affects additional 2d10 hit points worth of creatures for each slot above first. That's it. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Vampiric touched. Touch. I'll look that up. Mm-mm-mm. Snow says That rare variant sounds very unfortunate if your character tends to drop things. Can you imagine? Could you imagine just like I've got this improved invisibility and I'm clumsy, just dropping stuff. People are just like, what the hell's going on there? Because it doesn't say you're silent; it just you just drop things. TA says, "Wow, there's a spell called Seed Bomb." I'll look it up. Sleep was 5d8, not 4d10. I wonder why they changed that. Hmm. Hmm. 5d8. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe there was some math involved in it or something like that. I'm not certain why. Soul Wrought Fist. Now that is a metal name for a spell. Okay, I'll look that up with an additional 1d8, not 2d10. I think it was changed to better talking about the sleep spell, right? Um, oops. That with an additional die 8 per level, not 2 die 10. I believe it was changed because of the higher hit point value given to monsters. I believe that's what it when the new math for the monsters menagerie was done, that the spells didn't rank up with them, so they kind of evened it out, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, the picture of the girl. Yes. Okay, so we have soul wrought fists and let's take a look. Well, sorry, soul wrought fists and seed bomb. All right, let's take a look at this. First of all, let's move down here. Let's get rid of this. Mm-mm. It's second level spell. That is kind of a metal name for a thing. Second level spell. All right, it's a transmutation, enhancement, transformation, unarmed, and a weaponry spell. Okay, one action, and it says the target's hands harden with inner power, turning dexterous fingers into magical iron cudgels. Until the spell ends, the target drops anything it is holding and cannot use its hands to grasp objects or perform complex tasks. A target can still cast any spell that does not specifically require its hands. When making unarmed strikes, the target can use its spellcasting ability or dexterity, its choice, instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of unarmed strikes. In addition, the target's unarmed strikes deal 1 die 8 bludgeoning damage and count as magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non magical attacks and damage. Soul Wrought Fist. I would have picked a different name, but I like it. I like it. All right. Simulacrum. Seed sending seeming seed bomb. It's a second level spell for druid and wizard. Self. Self. 1 minute. Up to 4 seeds appear in your hand and are infused with magic for the duration. As an action, a creature can throw one of these seeds at a point up to 60 feet away. Each creature within 5 feet of that point makes a dexterity saving throw or takes 4 die 6 piercing damage. Depending on the material component used, a seed bomb also causes one of the following additional effects. So you can either throw I mean, for a material component, you can use a pine cone, a sunflower, or tumbleweed. Okay, where a pine cone seed shrapnel explodes outward. A creature in the area of the exploding seed bomb makes a constitution saving throw, or it is blinded until the end of its turn. For the sunflower, seeds enlarge into a blanket of pointy needles. The area affected by the exploding seed bomb becomes difficult terrain for the next minute. And lastly, you can also, if you use tumbleweed, the weeds unravel to latch around creatures. A creature in the area of the exploding seed bomb makes a dexterity saving throw where it becomes grappled until the end of its next turn. Damage, it's whoa. Sorry, damage increases. It casts at higher levels, and then Nevert's psionic seed bomb. Ooh, the seed bombs created by the spell explode with the cries of dying sproutlings and deal psychic damage instead of piercing damage. Ooh, that's different. Yeah, that's kind of different. Okay. I'm learning just like you guys are. So yeah, Mike's talk about the sleep spell. Yeah. They changed it to make it scale higher when upcast. Yep, they sure did. They sure did. Mm-mm-mm. Echo. Yeah, yeah. Echo terrorism. F you guys. I'm throwing seeds. Where's that spell? There was an image. There it is. There's the image. Sorry, TA. I was getting to it. There's the image of the girl with her finger in the water. Yep, yep, yep. I wonder if it. I'm sure it deals with the spell. Let me give me just a moment. Scrying. I scorching ray, scrying. I bet it has to deal with the scrying spell and then knowledge and physical connection and things like that. Yep, I bet it has to do with that. Mm-mm-mm. All right, guys, we're getting to the end here. Child, hey there. What's up? What's up? Kudzu. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell's yes. Mm-mm. Let me see. What do you say? Alley says Alley mentions in my opinion, I would just put in spells that have been altered as a rare variant. If spells that hasn't been altered just can be taken from the core books. That's very true. That I mean, listen, there's nothing stopping you from using anything from the core books for any reason at all. Especially if there's a spell that's like, yeah, I don't like the new wording for level up. You can just use the old one. Yeah, absolutely. But but then like Snow does mention that like well if the book's supposed to be self-contained that kind of defeat the purpose. Some people are some some people only want one of the three books from Level Up to use, like the Monstrous Menagerie or the Adventurer's Guide or the Trials and Treasures. So there are some people who want to take a book and just slot one book for another book. Mixing the spells, I I don't think there's a problem with mixing the spells. I think you're going to have issues with is when it comes to compatibility, you can't split compatibility, right? So what I mean is like the spells in Level Up have like categories and things of that nature. I personally would go with one or the other. I wouldn't try to split them unless you want to make like, well, there's all the spells in the core 5e and all the spells in level up 5e are individual from each other, and then in your game world one spell does one thing and one does another. It could get a little confusing if they have this exact same name, but that would be a little bit confusing, I think. A little bit confusing. But possible though. But absolutely possible. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for just being part of the show. We do go off the rails quite a bit sometimes, but uh, like, ooh, we did your sanctuary. Oh, sanctuary hasn't had much of a change. There's a sanctuary spell. Now, mind you, when it comes to spells, like I'm just using sanctuary as an example. I'm not saying this is true, but there might be some modifications in some of the spells when it comes to like casting time, ranges might be different, targeting might be different, components might be a little bit different. I doubt the component portion of it is changed very much, but again, there might be some wording involved in it that either clarifies something or it might block an exploit or it might in level up 5e it might interact with a rule within 5e that does not exist in o5e. So a5e advanced 5th edition might have an interaction that original 5e may not have, especially when it comes to the exploration pillar, which has been fully explored. Maybe I might do that Friday. to give you guys a hint as to what the hell that's about. And maybe we'll go over even some of the martial, uh, the some of the martial components as well, the combat maneuvers and things like that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you very much for all the new people, Nicholas, Snow, everybody else, all you guys. Grimchild's been quite a while. Ta, Mike, everybody. I know I missed a name. Dead Man, guys. Thank you so much for just being part of the show. All the information that you need for the Kickstarter and this channel and hell, the Discord server, all that kind of stuff is located below the video. Please check that out as well. I want all of you to have a great one. And the last thing I will do, because I tend to not do this very often, is a call to action. Like, share, subscribe, let other people know about the channel. Maybe there's some people you don't like. Let them know about the channel too if this is really annoying to you. But but in all seriousness, yeah, everybody have a great one. Thanks, Cam. The Ride Eternal Shiny and Chrome. Boom shakalaka. Have a great one. I will see thee later. Much love.